This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning. Welcome into you. I'm Rebecca Smith.
And I'm Sean Moody. Bill Bryant's got the morning off. It is 6 o'clock now.
Now at 6 a.m., 2 people are in custody following a deadly shooting in Knox County. We've got the latest on the investigation ahead.
And Lexington Herald Leader subscribers should expect some delays on their newspapers this morning. The paper's press machine caught fire late last night.
And we have a traffic advisory to tell you about this morning. Construction on a busy Lexington road could present some backups as you head off to work this morning.
Getting a glimpse of daylight outside early this morning with the clouds overhead. It doesn't feel very good here in the central and northern zones. Down south, actually not a bad start to the day. But then we hit the afternoon. It's 90 degrees. It's the first day of summer. It actually hits at 6:34 later on this afternoon, and it will feel like it. I promise you that. Storms move in the next few days. We're going to get into that severe weather threat coming up.
Well, two people face charges this morning in connection to a deadly Knox County shooting.
Yeah, state police say the victim was found with a gunshot wound laying in the middle of Right Fork East Creek Road. WKYT's Mark Barber is at the live desk with the latest on this investigation. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Sean. While 2 people have been arrested, state police are still searching for more suspects connected to the deadly shooting. It happened in the Gray community around 1 in the morning on Saturday. A man says 3 men showed up at his front door looking for someone who robbed them. That's when the man describes hearing several gunshots outside his window. When he grabbed a flashlight and looked outside, he saw a man lying on the ground. He called 911 and the man was rushed to a hospital in Corbin, but he was not able to pull through and he died there. State police are still trying to figure out why the man was killed and who killed him. While they have already made a couple arrests, they are still searching for more people who were involved in the shooting. So far, authorities have not identified the man who was killed or the 2 people who have been arrested. From the live desk, Mark Barber, WKYT.
An alert this morning for readers of the Lexington Herald Leader. Your daily paper may not necessarily be arriving on your front porch in time this morning. That's because some equipment was damaged in an overnight fire. The fire started in the press area of the Midland Avenue building. Crews say the fire was tough to get to because of the size of the building, but they were able to put it out after about 10 minutes. So we're told the press is between 40 and 50 years old. While repairs are being made, the editor for the Herald Leader says paper deliveries will be timely as possible.
Today, the Department of Justice will release partial transcripts of Orlando shooter Omar Martin's conversations with negotiators during the siege. Yesterday marked 1 week since the horrific massacre that killed 49 people at Pulse Gay nightclub. Tens of thousands of people joined together for a candlelight vigil around a lake in the heart of downtown Orlando on Sunday night as the names of the victims who died at the nightclub were recited. The Orlando massacre a week ago is still fresh in the minds of people, not only there in Central Florida, but across the nation. Here in Kentucky, people came together to remember those who lost their lives there in Orlando. A prayer vigil was held at Church of the Ascension in Frankfort. Dozens of people gathered there, including Frankfort Mayor Bill May, as the crowd stood together in solidarity for the 49 victims.
This is a time when the church needs to really come together to be able to show that there can be unity to stand against such acts of violence that are directed against a particular group of people simply because of how they were born and who they are and trying to live into their identity.
There were about 100 people at that prayer service, including a man who had just moved to Frankfort from Orlando, who said he lost 2 friends in the shooting. People in Letcher County also held a vigil in honor of those lost in the Orlando shooting. Dozens of people gathered in Whitesburg, where mourners lit candles for the victims. At the end of that vigil, people discussed what legislative changes they'd like to see.
Well, the U.S. Senate is expected to vote today on several new gun control measures in response to the Orlando massacre. Politicians on both sides are putting up bills to increase background checks and to limit access to people on terror watch lists. Donald Trump said he'd like to see people on the no-fly and terrorist watch list prevented from purchasing guns. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, who led a 15-hour filibuster over guns last week, says the laws need to be changed.
We should be making our gun laws less full of Swiss cheese holes so that future killings don't happen.
Well, Republicans and Democrats are offering competing bills to address the so-called terror gap and expand background checks. But since we are in an election year, they're expected to fail. The last time the Senate voted on gun legislation was December 2015 after San Bernardino's shooting. That law failed to pass.
A double homicide and a suicide are still under investigation in Franklin County. Now deputies say they may be connected. Investigators say the bodies of 2 women were found at a home on Pea Ridge Road Friday, just a few hours before Frankfort police were at a home near Washington Street investigating a suicide. According to the Frankfort State Journal, the man police believe shot himself was related to one of the dead women. Deputies have not released any of the 3 victims' names. They tell us a medical examiner's report is expected to be available today, and the sheriff will release more information at that time. New this morning, a Central Kentucky hospital is being sued by a patient who claims hospital staff lost her wedding rings during surgery. The Danville Advocate-Messenger reports Virginia Coase filed a lawsuit against Ephraim McDowell Regional Medical Center there in Danville. Coase says she was admitted to the hospital back in February to have surgery for a broken hip. Now, according to that lawsuit, the hospital staff asked Coase to remove her rings before the procedure began, but she refused. The lawsuit then says the rings were removed at some point during the surgical process. Family members said they then noticed the rings were missing after Coase was transferred to a rehabilitation center.
We have a traffic alert for drivers in Lexington this morning. Starting today, the inbound lanes of South Broadway between South Broadway Park and Angliana will be closed. Crews will be working on the sewers. Traffic will be diverted to the center line. The work is expected to last 2 to 5 days before lanes are reopened. Frankfort city officials will meet today to discuss changing a busy downtown road into a 2-way street. As of now, West Main Street in downtown Frankfort only 1-way. The State Journal reports several business owners want the city commission to pass an ordinance to make it 2-way. Supporters say the change will be good for the economy. Those against the idea worry about the loss of parking spaces and the construction costs.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
We're in the upper 60s, lower 70s early this morning, central, north, and western zones. Those are areas that I expect at least that chance of rain. Slide on in later on today. Down south and southeast, you guys don't have a good chance of rain. You're actually looking pretty good this morning. I'll show you a map here in just a couple of seconds that actually shows you exactly where I expect this rain. It's not much. It's more about the temperatures today, and we're pretty calm and pretty quiet right now. But the next couple of days, we will not be calm or quiet. It's going to be very loud, very noisy as we head out through the next 48 to 72 hours. Let's break down today. Small chance of rain. Not many of us will actually see that, but the temperature is right around 90 degrees. Remember, this is your first day of summer. The first full day actually comes tomorrow. It actually starts at 6:34 p.m. later on this afternoon. Off into the night and into tomorrow, we'll have that slight chance of rain. But if you're looking for rain chances today, central, north, western zones, that is your best chance to actually see some rain. And that's still 30%. So not many of us actually see rain today. The farther south and east you go, the better likelihood of it just kind of falling apart. And we'll be right around a 10% chance. So yeah, there's a chance today, but it's more about the temperatures. Now tomorrow it's going to be a different story. We see this front get a little bit closer to us. This is not, and I repeat, this is not a cold front. You will not get cold air out of this. You'll see the temperatures dive because the rain's overhead, not so much cold air moving on in. But tomorrow's threat, as of right now, it could change. But as of right now, I would say east, southeast, that's your best area to actually be concerned about for some severe storms. But still, everybody will have the chance, and I repeat, everyone will have the chance, at least an isolated severe cell. Something to watch out for. That's not the only day, though. We actually travel off into your next couple of days and actually pick up on that chance of strong to severe storms. So that's tomorrow, then on Wednesday, and guys, maybe even Thursday, too. That's something to watch out for as of right now. Low confidence on Thursday. But the next couple of days look like could potentially be a first alert severe weather day back to back. We'll see how that turns out, and Chris Bailey will be in here later on this afternoon. We'll see what he does with that. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about storms in the forecast. We'll need to be watching those.
I always love a good, summer afternoon thunderstorm as long as it's not too severe, causing problems.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks, Micah.
All right, let's see if there are any problems being brought to you on the roads. Not really hearing of any issues this morning, like a lot of mornings, so that's always good news.
Yeah, here's Officer Don with a look at what's happening out there on the roads. Hey, Don.
Hey, good morning. We talked about the stuff on South Broadway that's going to happen near Angliana later. Construction may affect us if that's part of your route. Also, Todd's Road, the widening project continues there. Police already on standby, just making sure that people slow down through that construction project between Man-O-War over to Hayes Boulevard. Let's get a look outside and we'll show you what's happening as you get ready to head out the door. So far, no wrecks in the way. That's the great news. Overall traffic view looks good from Nicholasville, from Versailles, and no problems on the interstate. As far as our drive times go, nothing holding us up right now. Coming in from Nicholasville, it's a straight shot. Same deal on the north side. North Broadway looks good. Paris Pike and 75 from Georgetown looks good as well. Now back to you in the studio.
Don, thank you. 10 after 6 now on your Monday morning, and more news from WKYT this morning is on the way.
A record-breaking heat wave continues in the west, fueling wildfires. Hundreds have evacuated as temperatures continue to climb into the triple digits. I'm Hannah Daniels at the CBS Broadcast Center. I'll have more coming up.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you, like WKYT on Facebook.
I was on a bad road before I got put in foster care.
Now, through a new program,
we just wanted to do something innovative. We wanted to do something impactful.
she's able to give back to those who helped her.
I wouldn't be in college if I hadn't been put in foster care.
Fostering Success, tonight at 6 on WKYT.
You know that old saying, there's 1,000 ways to slice a grape? Well, tell Arby's about the other 999, because we're still stuck doing it this way. Every morning, hand slicing grapes just for one seasonal sandwich. If Arby's does all this work for just one sandwich ingredient, imagine what kind of effort we put into the rest of them. I mean, is somebody back there cracking pecans? Arby's, we have the meat.
Have you done anything out of the ordinary recently?
Bought a new washer and dryer from the home improvement store.
I'm afraid you're suffering from FOBO.
FOBO?
FOBO. Fear of better options.
The only cure for FOBO is H.H. Gregg. H.H. Gregg works fast, relieving FOBO with an unmatched selection of appliances and a low price guarantee. Plus, get free delivery. Appliances, electronics, furniture. H.H. Gregg. Gregg's got it.
The BMW i8 surround view camera system keeps you fully aware of the road around you. Even when you're driving the BMW X3. This and other BMW i8 innovations available in the BMW X3. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
Lease a 2016 BMW X3 xDrive 28i for just $439 per month at Don Jacobs BMW.
I feel like it's important to connect with the customers because you never know what somebody might be going through. I want to make sure that I'm giving them the experience that they deserve. I'm a pharmacy technician. You have a lot of responsibility because people's health is on the line. It's just being accurate, it's being focused. It's a good pressure. Kroger has always put people first. Just whoever walks through those doors, we just try to do whatever we can to put them first and make them feel special. Treating everybody with the same, genuine care that I would want somebody to treat me with. I'm Deontay and I work at the Frankfurt East Kroger.
All right, guys, we brought you to this construction trailer to talk about trucks today.
Which truck brand offers engines with best-in-class V8 towing or fuel economy?
We moving? We're going. It's the answer to the question, baby. Silverado.
Ooh, that's cool.
It's Truck Month. Qualified buyers get 0% financing for 60 months. Plus, find your tank and get $8,250 total value on this Silverado All-Star. See your Kentucky Select Chevy dealers.
Hear that? Sound fast? Wait till you ride it. Lightning Rod, Dollywood's super fast two-time world record-breaking coaster. The world's fastest wood coaster and the world's first wood launch coaster. Lightning Rod, now open and only at Dollywood. Enjoy extended hours and nightly fireworks now through August 7th.
WKYT's First Alert Weather follows you wherever you go, on TV, online, on your phone, and throughout the day on 100.1 WKQQ.
Welcome back in. Thanks for starting your Monday morning off with us. Well, wildfires fueled by a deadly heat wave continue to rage in parts of the west this morning.
Yeah, Hannah Daniels has the latest on the efforts to contain that fire.
The intense heat is complicating efforts to tackle several wildfires raging in the west. Dozens of residents near San Diego were ordered to evacuate Sunday when triple-digit temperatures ignited a brush fire in a desert community.
I went in, got the old lady, got her to get the dogs out, and I went back in, looked out the back door, and there was a wall of flame.
In Santa Barbara County, air crews have been working around the clock to contain the so-called Sherpa fire, now in its 6th day. Their efforts are being hampered by steep terrain and high winds.
If we had a week without wind, we'd be great. Unfortunately, that's not predicted.
Over the weekend, temperatures topped 118 degrees in Arizona, creating dangerous conditions for people spending time outdoors.
Got water, get a nice little sun. Shouldn't be too many people out there, so we'll go until I feel tired, and if I feel a little lethargic, I'll turn around and come back down.
Rescue crews were sent to help 7 hikers near Tucson Sunday. 2 of them died, believed to be from heat-related illnesses. 1 is still missing. And the crushing heat is expected to get even worse. Forecasters say highs in Phoenix could hit 120 degrees today. Hannah Daniels, CBS News.
The Cedar Fire there in Arizona has burned more than 12,000 acres, and another fire in New Mexico has consumed more than 17,000 acres. In the wake of last week's Orlando attack, Donald Trump is suggesting the United States should, quote, seriously consider profiling Muslims inside the country as a way to fight terrorism. The presumptive Republican presidential nominee told CBS's Face the Nation on Sunday that, quote, it's not the worst thing to do, end quote.
Well, I think profiling is something that we're going to have to start thinking about as a country, and other countries do it. And you look at Israel and you look at others, and they do it, and they do it successfully.
Trump says he hates the concept of profiling, but he says we have to use, quote, common sense over political correctness, end quote. Later today, the Senate is expected to vote on several new gun control measures in response to last Sunday's massacre.
Solar Impulse 2 took off from John F. Kennedy Airport in New York this morning, continuing its journey around the world. The solar-powered plane is embarking on a multiple-day flight over the Atlantic en route to Spain. The aircraft started its around-the-world journey back in March of 2015 from Abu Dhabi. It has since made stops in China, Japan, Hawaii, and San Francisco before its latest destination, New York. Cleveland's 52-year championship drought ended with an electrifying 93-89 victory over Golden State to give the Cavs their first NBA title. The win also made them the first NBA team to rally from a 3-1 deficit to win the finals. As usual, LeBron James led the way, becoming the 3rd player in NBA history to record a triple-double in a championship Game 7. The defending champion Warriors kept it close the entire game, but Kyrie Irving hit a go-ahead 3-pointer with under a minute to seal the deal.
Time is 6:17 rather now on your Monday morning. The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus have been banned in Beijing. Regulators say the design is too similar to an existing Chinese phone. An Apple spokesman says the company is appealing the ruling, and all Apple products are on sale in China while waiting a final decision. The tech company and manufacturer LG plans to start selling mosquito-repelling televisions in India. The technology uses ultrasonic waves humans can't hear to keep the insects away. It also works when the TV is turned off. LG says the technology helps protect against mosquito-borne diseases. And Microsoft and Starbucks are teaming up to give your inbox a coffee jolt. The free add-in Starbucks for Outlook allows Microsoft Outlook users to email Starbucks electronic gift cards and set up meetings at nearby Starbucks locations. Microsoft says the overall goal is to make online relationships more personable by connecting offline, a service that can benefit its users worldwide. Now, for its part, Starbucks says the new plugin allows it to connect to customers and save them time. The East Coast is full of fans of lobster rolls, and McDonald's is banking on them to enjoy a returning product. Starting this week, McDonald's will add the lobster roll to restaurants throughout New England and the Albany, New York area. This will be the first time in a decade since the lobster roll has been on McDonald's menus. It'll cost around $8.99 with 290 calories. The lobster roll will be available through mid-August.
Oh, that sounds delicious. WKYT This Morning is just getting started. A fire inside an Arizona Walmart sent shoppers running for their lives. How the fire started. Ooh, look at that.
It's a little bit steamy this morning as you step out the door. We hit the afternoon. It's going to be right around 90 degrees. That's what we're tracking today. Tomorrow and off into your Wednesday, strong, potentially severe storms. I'm going to show you who has the best chance coming up next.
CBS Tonight.
You're killing this country. Glad to do it.
If it seems like our politicians have lost their minds,
Why do we have to be the party of adults?
It's because they have.
This is no way to manipulate a great democracy.
From the creators of The Good Wife.
You have a minute.
Does she have a choice? Are we living in a fascist state now?
Comes a political thriller.
Help me!
That's fun and pretty fabulous.
Get me out of here! What is going on?
A new Brain Dead. CBS Tonight, or stream it live or on demand.
Celebrate your independence from high prices with huge savings during the Great American Sales Event at Paul Miller.
It's a great time to learn why people love buying from Paul Miller Ford.
If I ever buy again, I'm coming right back here.
With hundreds of vehicles, award-winning service, and great prices, there's never been a better time to buy and buy again at Paul Miller Ford. Come in and register to win tickets to the South Atlantic League All-Star Game hosted by the Lexington Legends. Point, click, drive at paulmillerford.com.
Some things are so personal.
Do you find that other people's children never look quite right?
They can only be experienced.
We love to go out because it convinces ourselves that our lives don't suck.
In front of thousands.
A little bit of a war going on with you and the box of cookies at night. I was just going to have a couple. I mowed down a whole row.
Jerry Seinfeld live on stage.
Friday, July 8th at 7 p.m. EKU Center for the Arts. Reserved seats are on sale now at EKUcenter.com, the EKU Center box office, or by phone.
You diabetic or pre-diabetic? Do you have high blood pressure? Do you suffer from chronic pain related to weight gain? Do you spend hundreds of dollars on obesity-related medications? If you want to be the best version of you, Ageless Medical Weight Loss can help. Ageless is a medically supervised, affordable weight loss solution. Kim lost 238 pounds. Betty lost 135 pounds. They made a choice to become healthier, and so can you. Call today for a free consultation.
How do you craft the world's finest bed? It starts with luxurious materials, with attention to every detail. For quality you can feel, the same quality you've come to expect at Sleep Outfitters, where now you can save up to $600 on select Stearns & Foster mattresses. Plus, get 0% APR financing for 60 months. When you lie down on a Stearns & Foster bed, you'll appreciate everything we've put in, making it that much harder to get out. Stearns & Foster, available at Sleep Outfitters.
I could get used to this.
I could get used to this.
The luxuriously transformed 2016 Lexus ES and ES Hybrid.
I could get used to this.
Once you experience this level of luxury,
I could get used to this.
there's no going back. Lease the 2016 ES 350 for $329 a month for 36 months. See your Lexus dealer.
Welcome back. If you hadn't gotten your morning copy of the Herald Leader, you may be expecting it a little bit later this morning.
Yeah, they had quite the eventful night overnight. That's what's trending at this hour. This was the scene out there near the Herald Leader last night. Subscribers of the Herald Leader should expect delays due to the newspaper's printing press catching fire late last night. No one was injured, but officials say the fire caused a major setback to this morning's edition of the paper. Firefighters are still investigating the cause of the fire.
We have a traffic alert for you this morning. A portion of South Broadway in Lexington will be shut down for a few days while a sewage line is repaired. All inbound lanes of South Broadway between South Broadway Park and Angliana will be closed during the work. It's expected to last 2 to 5 days.
Summer officially arrives later today. Now a quick check of the forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Yeah, 6:34 p.m. is when we actually start to see summer kick into full gear. And let me tell you that before that, it's actually going to feel much like summer later on this afternoon at 90 degrees is what we're expecting. 60s and 70s outside. The farther south and southeast you are, better feel outside this morning. So sitting out on the patio, walkers, runners, that's a nice start to the day down south. If you're a walker runner here in central zones, north and western zones, it's going to be pretty humid running around that neighborhood. 90 degrees by the afternoon. Still do it this morning. I'd do it this morning as opposed to this afternoon or evening. 90 degrees today, and also that small chance of rain central, north and western zones. You guys have the best chance of actually seeing one of these rumbles of thunder. Remember, it's a 30% chance of rain today. But the next couple of days, that's what we're going to be focusing in on, because That's when a system moves on in and it doesn't move that much. So a stormy pattern is setting up for the start of summer. Tomorrow and to your Wednesday, we're talking strong, potentially severe storms. The one thing I'm going to be focusing in on in my next forecast, my full forecast, is going to be that hour-by-hour forecast. I'm going to show you when these storms move in. We're going to talk about who has the best chance at severe weather coming up in just a few minutes.
Mike, thank you. A Wisconsin skydiver, Kevin Burkhardt, raised nearly $130,000 to battle Parkinson's disease by, get this, completing 101 skydives in just 12 hours.
I don't think I could just do one.
Yeah.
Oh, I know I couldn't do just one. Okay, that scares me to death. As impressive as that was, he is actually aiming to complete 300 jumps in 24 hours. The goal cut short because of foul weather. The feat was in honor of Kevin's father, who has been battling Parkinson's for 2 decades. Kevin says he hopes to inspire others to try something new, saying if you want to change the world, you have to overcome your fears. Have you ever done that?
I've never done that. I don't have any problem flying, but jumping out of the airplane? I don't
Really?
know. I love the idea of doing it, but actually taking that step out of the airplane just like that might not be for me.
See, I don't even need the thought of jumping out of an airplane. I'm scared to fly as well. So, you know.
There's your thrill.
Exactly. A Phoenix Walmart is closed and could be closed for up to a week after someone lit fireworks inside the store.
Yeah, pretty unbelievable video here. Look at this dramatic video capturing the popping, and then you see the flaming of the store merchandise there. Shoppers went running for their lives as the fireworks sent those flames bursting out into the aisle. Nobody was hurt, but a similar incident in 2001 cost one firefighter his life when someone lit a fire in a nearby grocery store.
One of our members lost their life in there, so people don't always think in those terms and hey, I'm just going to start a little fire, but the reality is you can't control it.
Yeah, you can see just how out of control that can get. Surveillance video captured men believed to be responsible for the fire. Investigators say the 2 men face up to a Class 2 felony, which is just below a murder charge. It's now 6:26 on your Monday morning.
When we return, police say a man used an unusual weapon to rob a Lexington business. We'll tell you what it was and how he was caught at 6:30.
Tomorrow's Mega Millions jackpot, $333 million. Wednesday's Powerball jackpot, $184 million.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you, like WKYT on Facebook.
WKYT is putting the new back in late news with newer stories and more updates. So there's less repetition, which means no wasted time. WKYT News at 11. Newer, fresher, worth staying up for.
Attention residents of Lexington. Due to the recent torrential hailstorm, many vehicles have been damaged, and we are forced to deeply discount them at the Glenn dealerships of Nicholasville. Glenn Ford, Glenn Mitsubishi, and Glenn Hyundai of Nicholasville. Small scratches, dings, and dents have forced us to sell these vehicles below market value. You will save thousands, and these small cosmetic defects can be easily repaired. These vehicles are limited and are first come, first served. Get to any of the Glenn dealerships in Nicholasville, Ford, Mitsubishi, or Hyundai today for this rare event.
CareSource insures thousands of members in Kentucky, but we're not built on numbers. We're built on compassion and care. Our commitment? People over profit. CareSource, caring for the Commonwealth.
Hey guys, lunch is here. It's on me, fellas.
With the Chase mobile app, Steph and Curry can send money to more people in less time.
Thanks, Steph. No problem.
Even to friends at a growing number of other banks.
You ready to go? Come on, fellas, let's go.
Easy to use Chase technology for whatever you're trying to master.
Here's a fun way to control your luck. It's a game called Keno. You can start with $1. You pick your numbers, your odds, and your wager. And the winnings, well, they could be major. Just pick your numbers and hope you win. A few minutes later, you can play it again. Now play Keno wherever Kentucky lottery games are sold.
We have great lease offers on Volkswagen models all month long at Don Jacobs Volkswagen. Lease the 2016 Jetta S manual sedan with tech package for only $189 a month for 36 months with zero due at signing. Or lease the 2016 Passat S sedan for only $209 a month for 36 months with zero due at signing. Or finance any 2016 Golf gas model at 0.9% APR for 60 months. Hurry in for the best selection at Don Jacobs Volkswagen, Nicholasville and New Circle Road, or at donjacobsvolkswagen.com.
Before contemplating the many choices on Steak and Shake's $4 menu, one must calm the mind in our Zen garden. Focus. The garlic double steak burger meal. Reflect. The taco salad meal. Zen. The original double and cheese steak burger meal.
Oh! The $4 menu, where all meals are under $4 at Steak and Shake.
You've wished upon it all year, and now it's finally here. The Mercedes-Benz Summer Event is back, with incredible offers on the Mercedes-Benz you've always longed for. But hurry, these shooting stars fly by fast. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
WKYT's First Alert Weather follows you wherever you go, on TV, online, on your phone, and throughout the day on Mix 94.5. This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. I'm Sean Moody. Bill Bryant has the morning off.
I hope your morning's off to a great start. I'm Rebecca Smith. It is a Monday morning, isn't it?
Monday, first day of summer. Now at 6:30, 2 people face charges this morning in connection to a deadly Knox County shooting. We're live going through the details of that case.
And the FBI is set to release more information about a mass shooting in Orlando that killed almost 50 people. We'll have those details ahead.
And some volunteers in Laurel County need your help caring for 9 abandoned puppies. That and more coming up on WKYT This Morning.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good outside, not seeing much in the forecast for rain this morning. This afternoon, there's a small chance. Clouds are overhead. It's a humid start to the day. Once we hit the afternoon, roughly 90 degrees. We're going to go over that and also talk about these storms moving on in. That severe weather threat, that's up in just about 5 minutes.
Micah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. 2 people face charges this morning in connection to a deadly Knox County shooting. State police say the victim was found with a gunshot wound laying right in the middle of Right Fork East Creek Road. WKYT's Mark Barber is at the live desk with the latest information.
Good morning, Rebecca. State police are searching for suspects as they try to figure out why this man was killed. So far, 2 people have been arrested in connection to the deadly shooting that happened in the Gray community early Saturday morning. A neighbor says the man was shot after 3 men showed up at his home looking for someone who had robbed them. The neighbor ducked down when he heard several gunshots. When he looked back up, a man was lying on the ground. That man was rushed to a hospital in Corbin, which is where he died. This morning, investigators are still trying to figure out why he was killed and who killed him. So far, the 2 people who have been arrested and the man who was shot and killed have not been identified. From the live desk, Mark Barber, WKYT.
All right, thank you. Got some information just coming into our newsroom right now. Lexington police say 2 people have showed up at UK Hospital with apparent gunshot wounds. Police said they don't know where the 2 victims were shot or if the 2 cases are connected. We're making some calls right now to try and find out when and where these happened. Once we have some details, we will post them on WKYT.com.
Well, you may not get your morning paper quite on time this morning. Part of the Lexington Herald Leader building caught fire overnight, delaying printing. Our news partners report that the fire started in the press area of the building. Crews say the fire tough to get to because of the size of the building, but they were able to put out the flames in about 10 minutes. Well, the fire was confined to one press, one of the big presses, and there's multiple presses on the 2nd floor, we understand, from the Herald Leader. So they were able to disconnect one and work off the other presses, we understand. We're told the press between 40 and 50 years old, and it will have to be fixed. In the meantime, the editor for the Herald Leader says they will deliver the papers as timely as possible.
Yeah, quite the night over there. Rolling with it. A week after the terror attack that left 49 people dead inside an Orlando nightclub, the FBI now is set to release transcripts of the gunman's negotiations with police.
Thousands of people gathered last night to remember and honor the victims. Hannah Daniels has the latest.
Today, we may learn more about the motivation behind the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. The Department of Justice is expected to release the 911 calls made by Omar Mateen during his rampage inside the Pulse nightclub.
I know you're shining down on me from heaven.
While many are searching for answers, last night an estimated 50,000 people gathered in downtown Orlando to heal and honor the 49 victims of the gay nightclub massacre a week ago.
It's about loving each other and treating everybody like human beings. And that's the type of person that he was. So if he sees something like this, he would be, again, overwhelmed.
With candles raised high, many chanted peace, love, pulse in remembrance. As the community moves forward, so does the investigation. U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch says a transcript of the gunman's conversation with negotiators could shed some light on Mateen's mental state.
We're trying to uncover everything we can about this killer's motivations, what led him to this particular place, this particular club. Why did he target the LGBT community?
Lynch will meet with survivors and investigators in Orlando on Tuesday. Hannah Daniels, CBS News.
The U.S. Senate is expected to vote today on several new gun control measures in response to the Orlando massacre. Politicians on both sides of the aisle have put up bills to increase background checks and to limit access to people on terror watch lists. Donald Trump said he'd like to see people on the no-fly and terrorist watch lists prevented from purchasing guns.
I understand exactly what they're saying. You know, a lot of people are on the list that really maybe shouldn't be on the list, and, you know, their rights are being taken away.
Democratic Senator Chris Murphy led a 15-hour filibuster over guns last week. He says the laws need to be changed.
We should be making our gun laws less full of Swiss cheese holes so that future killings don't happen.
Now, the last time the Senate voted on gun legislation was back in December 2015 after the shooting in San Bernardino. That law did not pass. We will continue to track the latest developments on gun control legislation and, of course, the investigation into the Orlando shooting on our website, WKYT.com. Rebecca?
All right, thanks so much. Well, we had plenty of sunshine and warm temperatures, making for a great Father's Day weekend. So let's see how this next week is going to look with Micah.
Yeah, and you felt that humidity slowly but surely increasing yesterday. And once that humidity started getting going, you know it's not going to stop anytime soon until the front rolls on through. We're 70 degrees now in Lexington. Richmond coming in at 70 degrees and 72 in Moorhead. If you're in central, north, and back toward the northwest, that's where it's very humid early this morning. But if you are south, Somerset, London, Corbin, down toward, say, Williamsburg, my friends down toward Bell County and Middlesboro at 58 degrees. That's not a bad start to the day. Now we get into the afternoon, that's a totally different story. Clouds overhead right now in most locations, and that's not giving us a chance of rain right now. But later on this afternoon, this is probably what you want to see for today. So go ahead and just check out the screen real quick. This is the area highlighted, central northwestern zones. It's not a great chance, it's only 30%, but that's the best opportunity to see a couple of rumbles in the forecast. Elsewhere, southeast, southeast, yeah, you're talking about a 10% chance of rain. So it's not a great chance, more about the temperatures today. And then strong, potentially severe thunderstorms, guys, is what I'm going to be focusing in on the next couple of days. And that forecast is up in just a bit.
Micah, thank you. A lit cigarette is being blamed for a large fire that destroyed a McDonald's in Elizabethtown. Firefighters say the cigarette caused a bed of dry mulch to catch fire, which then moved on to the building. No customers or employees were injured. One first responder did get treated for heat exhaustion, but firefighters say he's doing fine. Crews say a similar incident happened recently at an assisted living center. Investigators are trying to figure out what led to a house fire in Boyle County. That fire started around 4 a.m. on Beach Street in Danville. Firefighters were on the scene for hours. Everybody inside the house was able to get out safely, but crews say that house was destroyed.
A man accused of kidnapping an 11-year-old mentally challenged girl from her Knox County home will face a judge today. Donna Rice is charged with kidnapping. Family members say the girl somehow exited their home Monday night. Rice was waiting for her. Police say he then convinced her to get into his truck. Neighbors who saw Rice's truck helped police track him down shortly after. The girl was not injured. Rice will be arraigned at 10:30 this morning. Police say a man is behind bars after he used a rather unusual weapon to rob a Lexington Radio Shack. Investigators say Sean Pittman walked into the Radio Shack on New Circle Road swinging a sock full of rocks. Pittman managed to get away with cash and more than $10,000 worth of electronics. But police later caught him in the Lexmark parking lot. They say he was pushing the electronics in a Walmart shopping cart.
State police are looking for two men who caused over $1,000 in damage to a coin machine at a Pike County car wash. Troopers released these surveillance photos of the men. They say the two tried to steal money from a machine at Pirates Cove Car Wash. The owner says the coin machines were actually empty at the time, but they caused $1,500 in damage trying to open them. The location of a controversial Confederate statue on the University of Louisville campus is at the center of another debate now. Earlier this year, Louisville's mayor said he wanted the statue moved, saying the monument, quote, has no place in a compassionate, forward-looking city, end quote. The Sons of Confederate Veterans got a temporary restraining order to stop the city from moving it. A judge lifted that order last month. Now another group is protesting for the monument to stay.
They represent a freedom for everybody. It's far beyond just a Confederate statue.
I'm against them trying to remove historical artifacts and monuments that have significance to our younger generations that are coming along to know what we did in the past so we don't make a mistake and do it again.
The city says they will not do anything at all until a judge issues a final ruling. That monument's been on Louisville's campus since 1954.
Police in London are trying to increase neighborhood safety by asking community officials to expand neighborhood watch programs. The program consists of neighbors who meet with police and discuss ways to keep homes safe. The program also encourages people to get to know their neighbors.
There's been a study where like 96% of neighbors actually feel safer when they get to know who's living beside them. You know, today no one really knows who their neighbors are.
London police say 5 neighborhood groups have already started to meet monthly.
A Laurel County animal shelter is looking for help to care for 9 abandoned puppies. Shelter officials say the 4-week-old pups were rescued after being found in a ditch. It's unclear exactly how long the puppies were abandoned, but you can see there now officials say they're healthy and playful. A group called the Friends of Laurel County Animal Shelter uses their personal time and resources to help rescue unwanted pets.
Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to be a voice for these animals. They don't have a voice and they can't speak for themselves, so somebody has to do it. And if not me, who?
Friends of Laurel County Animal Shelter is looking for new volunteers and donations to help with some of the cost of the animals. If you'd like to help, you can find more information on this story at WKYT.com.
They are cute little puppies, aren't they?
Can't pass those up. I couldn't do that story because I'd come back with all of them.
I know, right? I know that feeling. Let's get a check of traffic this morning.
Here is Officer Don with live drive traffic. How's it looking, Don?
Well, right now it's looking okay. We had a non-injury collision on Tates Creek Road past the circle. That's been moved out of the way. All lanes are open there now. It's a straight shot inbound Tates Creek. On the north side of town, inner and outer loops look good between Winchester Road all the way over to Boardwalk with about 1 click of the light to get through the intersections. Let's get a look outside at our overall drive times this morning, or at least at overall Lexington traffic flow to show you what's happening for inbound Nicholasville Road, Harrodsburg Road, and beyond. From Nicholasville is about 16 minutes, from Georgetown running the same, and coming in from Winchester on 64, about 26 minutes to Lexington. Now back to you in the studio.
Don, thank you. Now you can get the latest traffic and weather information anytime with the WKYT Weather Plus Traffic app. You can download that for free in the app or Google Play stores. 6:42 now on your Monday morning, and more news from WKYT this morning is on the way.
Well, everyone at a puppy pool party gone viral, having a doggone good time, except for one. We'll see if you can guess which one that is.
That sticks out like a sore thumb right there. What a cool story. We'll have that coming up. Also talking about getting in the pool, the lake, the river today, because 1, it's going to be really warm. Number 2, storms are ahead in the next few days and maybe even a severe weather threat. I'll have that coming up next.
Get WKYT news and weather updates on 98.1 The Bull.
Did you know that over 31% of injury-causing accidents are the result of rear-end collisions? Hi, I'm Kevin Renfro. If you've been injured when another driver rear-ended you, we'll help you get all you deserve. Call the Becker Law Office. Just dial 3.
Finally, a delicious pecan chicken salad sandwich, just like Mom used to make. When Mom was the Arby's Employee of the Month. Arby's, we have the meat.
Hey, honey. You remember to lock the Buick, right?
Of course I do. I'd never forget that. The Buick Remote Link app, now available in every Buick.
You closed all the apartment windows, too.
Come on.
You're the best.
Pay no interest for 5 years, plus get $1,900 purchase bonus cash on the 2016 Encore. Visit your Bluegrass Buick dealer today.
Learning never really ends. Every day we learn something new. But how often do we get to learn something exciting? Something artistic, creative, engaging, industrious? And how often do you get to pick and choose what you learn? Well, now you can. Berea, Kentucky's Festival of Learn Shops. July 8th through the 24th. Learn anything, learn everything. For more details, go to visitberea.com.
You know what sounds better than me? Prime rib for $13.99. Slice into endless prime rib, teriyaki sirloin, jumbo butterfly shrimp. Dinner's $13.99. Only at Golden Corral.
Today we're going to talk about the all-new 2016 Chevy Cruze, but you're only going to answer me in emojis. So this Cruze has built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi with 24 gigs of data. It also comes with 24 months of Sirius XM satellite radio.
Like word, Chevy. That's the way to go.
Find your tag and get $1,500 total cash allowance on this all-new 2016 Chevy Cruze. See your Kentucky Select Chevy dealers.
It's a helpless feeling to look into your rearview mirror and see another car about to hit you. Hi, I'm Kevin Renfro. If you've been injured when another driver rear-ended you, we'll help you get all you deserve. Call the Becker Law Office for a free evaluation. Just dial 3.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Temperatures today starting off central, north, and western zones in the 70s, some upper 60s. But look at my friends down south. You guys are doing really nice. Harlan County at 59, Middlesboro coming in at 58. Williamsburg, if you're sitting there in Whitley County, you're holding on to temperatures in the upper 50s. That's a nice feel early this morning if you're one of those walker runners. Down south is nice. Central zones, northern zones, trust me, you will sweat your tail off early this morning. A lot of that humid air settling on in, and we'll feel that later on this afternoon with 90-degree temperatures too. So throw humid air, 90 degrees. It's not going to be a very nice feeling day. Defender radar network showing nothing going on right now. Let's take you off into the afternoon, because afternoon is when we actually see a couple of rumbles of thunder spark up. Central northwestern zones, that is your best bet to actually see a couple of rumbles. But remember, you're still talking about a 30% chance of rain. This isn't a great chance. There's 5 p.m. Take you off in the evening if you're heading out to the ball fields or grilling out. Still a very small chance. And then we head off into the night. Now, this is out ahead of our system. It's going to be coming through later on tomorrow. Now, starting off at 8 a.m. tomorrow, we still can't rule out a couple of rumbles of thunder. And then that takes you into your afternoon. That I-64 corridor is more than likely your dividing line of where you see the storms and where you do not. Northern zones, and on many of these weather models, are actually showing this area for tomorrow to not really be impacted all that much. Central, northern, or southern zones rather, that's the impact. That's where you can see strong, potentially severe storms, especially during the afternoon and evening hours. It starts to fade away, but it's not gone, okay? You'll have that for your Tuesday, that potential for some severe weather. Then we hit your Wednesday, and it's back-to-back days. These 2 days don't look too different from each other. We're talking about strong severe weather for back-to-back days on Tuesday and Wednesday. Neither one of these days look like a severe weather outbreak. It's nothing like that. It's going to be heavy rain, some strong winds, a lot of lightning as these storms pass on through. Thursday, low confidence on this day, meaning these weather models they're not agreeing with each other. And when they start to throw out different outcomes here and there from all these different weather models, well, that just gives you low confidence on that forecast. So Thursday, low confidence, but still a few rumbles. It's these 2 days we really got to watch out for. Tuesday and Wednesday, more than likely those 2 days will be first alert severe weather days, and we'll keep you up to date as we get through time. So we get past that Thursday and off into your weekend. Your weekend, there's small chances of rain, but it's more about the temperatures. Be right around 90 degrees. So the temperatures aren't going anywhere anytime soon, and it looks like the storms are going to stick around as well. Small chance today, but really it's tomorrow off into your Wednesday. We got to be watching very closely for the potential for some severe storms.
We know you'll keep us informed on that front. Well, this is a really Really cute video,
Yeah.
okay? This is a puppy pool party that's taking the internet by storm.
Yeah, definitely my favorite social media video of the week. There they are. The dogs all splashing around at the doggy resort in Virginia. It's gone supernova online for that one dog right there in the lower center. That is Bia, the party pooper pooch, who just doesn't look like she's having it. She just is not having it. Well, Bia might be a little socially awkward. Her social media game is on fire. This video has already gotten over 14 million views since it first went online. And yeah, they're all having fun, and she's just I don't even know.
That is like the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Hilarious. I love it. You can't go wrong with a dog video, but a dog who just looks...
She may be just so scared, you know, I don't know.
What is all this stuff splashing around me? I don't know.
What is
Get
going
me out
on
of this
here?
pool.
Cute.
Watch that all day long.
Oh, yeah.
But we can't, unfortunately. There is news. It's 6:50 on your Monday morning.
Yeah, we've got more of that when we return.
Coming up, we're in Oakland and Cleveland, where the Cavaliers and their fans celebrate their first NBA title. Plus, we look at the grueling challenge of battling wildfires in the midst of a deadly and extreme heat wave. More real news coming up on CBS This Morning, next.
I was on a bad road before I got put in foster care.
Now, through a new program,
We just wanted to do something innovative. We wanted to do something impactful.
she's able to give back to those who helped her.
I wouldn't be in college if I hadn't been put in foster care.
Fostering Success, tonight at 6 on WKYT.
Honda knows, in today's hectic world, it's good to leave everything behind. But when it comes to your car, you want to get everything you can. It's why we put a multi-angle rear view camera, text message reader, and dual zone climate control standard in every 2016 Accord, with a redesigned body to match. Nothing compares to a Honda. The restyled Accord, the best-selling car in America.
I had just gotten out of high school. My father had passed away, and I kind of decided then that I wanted to be in the medical field. And one of my friends attended Spencerian that I worked with. I was working 2 jobs at the time. I work with 7 other people in the laboratory that have actually graduated from Spencerian. I think it all comes back to the fact that all the instructors here have that experience and they prepare us so well. Things can change for the better, and Spencerian College will help that change.
You've wished upon it all year, and now it's finally here. The Mercedes-Benz Summer Event is back, with incredible offers on the Mercedes-Benz you've always longed for. But hurry, these shooting stars fly by fast. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
What we do is not about sickness. It's about living. All of life's moments, big and small. Each triumph and challenge. Because you were made to live, and live well. And we're here to make sure you do. Let us show you how care is supposed to be. Lexington Clinic. Your doctors for life.
There are certain kinds of roads, built for certain kinds of cars, sweeping you up in a moment of pure driving enjoyment. Just don't get too carried away. The Mazda 3.
All right, welcome back in. The time is 6:53 this morning. Federal investigators will release partial transcripts of the Orlando shooter Omar Mateen's conversation with police negotiators during the worst mass shooting in U.S. history.
Yeah, thousands of people gathered in downtown Orlando yesterday to honor the 49 people who died in the gay nightclub. The Senate's expected to vote today on several new gun control measures in response to the massacre. 2 people face charges in connection to a deadly Knox County shooting. State police say the victim was found with a gunshot wound lying in the middle of Right Fork East Creek Road. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where he died. Now, a neighbor tells us that 3 men came up to his door moments before the shooting. The victim has not been identified. Police have charged 2 people with carrying a concealed weapon, but say more charges are expected.
Herald Leader subscribers can expect some delays on their daily paper this morning because an overnight fire did damage some equipment there. The fire started in the press area of the Midland Avenue building. Crews say the fire was tough to get to because of the size of the building, but they were able to put out that fire after about 10 minutes.
A stretch of Interstate 65 near downtown Louisville's back open now after more than a 5-hour shutdown. It wasn't because of a crash. It all started around 9 last night because of that man you see there. They say he climbed up onto a sign stretching over the interstate at the St. Catherine Street exit downtown. While police tried to talk that man down, a crowd of people showed up to watch.
I ain't never seen nothing like it because I ain't from here. I'm from LaRue County. We ain't never seen nothing like this till I moved to Louisville. But from my point of view, he was going through some things that don't nobody know. He need valuable help. He need help, period.
Now, police and firefighters were finally able to get that man down just before 3 o'clock this morning. He was taken to the hospital to be checked out.
Dustin Johnson no longer has to wear the unwanted title of best golfer never to have won a major. Johnson finally earned his first major with a 3-shot victory at the 116th U.S. Open at Oakmont. He tied for 4th at the Masters. Johnson finished 4 under for the tourney, just one of 4 players to post subpar scores for the Open. That was even being assessed a 1-shot penalty following his round for slightly moving his ball on the 5th green.
Celebration continues this morning in Cleveland. Cavaliers fans poured into the streets last night after the team won its first ever NBA championship. The Cavaliers defeated the Golden State Warriors 93-89 in Game 7. LeBron James scored 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists, and was named the NBA Finals MVP. This is the first major sports championship for a Cleveland team since 1964. Congratulations to
And
them.
with as much as Cleveland's gone through in the past 10 years, this is pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely. They'll be enjoying that for a while.
Yeah, let's get a check of Mike and see if we'll be enjoying the weather for a while.
Yeah, for a while, it looks like we're going to be mainly dry. And when I say for a while throughout the day. 90 degrees, though, is going to be very steamy. And there is a small chance of rain. We cannot rule that out, especially central, north, and western zones. Down toward the south and southeast, not a good chance of rain, but we just can't rule it out. Let's show you exactly where I expect a 30% chance of rain, 30 being max out of this today. So it's not a great chance. More about the temperatures. And there's your outline. And look, east, southeast, you'll have a chance, but it's more of just the heat today. Guys, pools, lakes, rivers will be packed today because the next couple of days, here comes that rain moving on in. Not just rain, but heavy rain, showers, thunderstorms, potentially some severe weather. We'll need to be watching that very closely in the next 48 to 72 hours.
All right. Nobody's more up to date than you to start the day. The news is always on at WKYT.com.
Have an awesome Monday.